Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
You remember that old and popular promo on NDTV, I think, that used to run for a long time with Lalu Prasad Yadav saying, "Bahut politics hai," as if in exasperation. Now we know that politics doesn't exasperate Lalu Yadav, but he was speaking the truth in terms of his state. Bihar is the state which runs on politics. Whatever else the state may be short of, it's short on economic growth, it's short on per capita incomes, its social indicators are short, it's short on infrastructure, it doesn't have any industry. But despite all that, one thing it has is politics. And then political punditry. You can stop anywhere in Bihar and anybody you run into, male, female, young, old, literate, illiterate, will give you a lecture on politics, local as well as national, and maybe sometimes also on international politics. So the state thrives, the people of the state thrive on politics. And yet they have very broken politics in the state, or maybe because they have so much politics and they think politics so much that they have broken politics. Now that politics is broken sort of on three axes. After say 1989, as we keep explaining to you, was the watershed moment in national politics with the decline of the Congress. And that watershed was much more pronounced, that watershed effect was much more pronounced in the Hindi heartland. Because with this Mandal business, a bunch of new parties emerged in the Hindi heartland, which had better appeal for the Muslim vote, and they had some OBC vote as well, and if you combine that, they got about 30%, which was enough to win in a broken three-way contest, because BJP was always on the other side. So there was UP had Mulayam, Bihar had Lalu, but Bihar had two more characters, and those are the two characters we'll be focusing on more today. One was Nitish Kumar, who was still not so important by 89 or a little bit later, although he was in politics and a former socialist. But he was also younger than the other person we'll talk about, that is Ramvilas Paswan. Now Ramvilas Paswan is 5 years older than Nitish. So Nitish this year is 69, Ramvilas Paswan is 74. Both have some similarities in their career. To begin with, both are former socialists. Then both have never been, they've been with every party. That is the most striking similarity. They've been with every party either by joining it or in coalition with it in national politics and Bihar politics, except two parties, that is Congress and BJP, in terms of joining. So they have not joined, they've not become members of either Congress or the BJP. They have projected themselves as strong adversaries of those parties at various points of time. But they have, each one of them has had a coalition with either party, in which case you have this incredible phenomenon in Indian politics, that for 25 years in our politics now, almost 25 years since 1996, between a cabinet in Delhi and a government in Patna, you cannot keep either Nitish or Ramvilas Paswan out. So if you could look at Paswan, I'm not reading out all the chronology for you because that gets complicated on camera, but you can see it on the screen. 1996, he joined the United Front government as a minister. It's almost as if no union cabinet has been formed since 96 without him there. In fact, I think I once wrote in a national interest that I can't predict what will happen in national elections, but whatever happens, Ramvilas Paswan will be a member of the cabinet. And that happened in spite of the fact that in that election, BJP got a majority. That was one of the Modi elections. So what has he done? He has been minister with United Front, that is Gowda and Gujral. He's been minister with Vajpayee in NDA, holding many key portfolios from railways to telecom to coal. In fact, he's a remarkable character in Indian politics who between 1988 and 2001, in 3 years, held each one of these portfolios one after the other. And he was removed sort of unceremoniously by Vajpayee from telecom portfolio because that was always a controversy prone ministry. And he said that he heard that announcement only on TV. So in fact, he said to me in a Walk the Talk interview for NDTV, he said to me कि हम तो आपकी, I told वाजपेयी कि हम तो आपकी पार्टी के नहीं थे, आप हमें हमारा पोर्टफोलियो चेंज कर सकते हैं, लेकिन आप हमारा पोर्टफोलियो टीवी पर चेंज नहीं कर सकते, हमको बोलकर चेंज कीजिए. So he learned to leverage the idea of being a coalition partner, and then he got coal and he carried on. He cannot survive without power. After that, we know that when UPA came in, he joined the UPA, he was a minister. 2009, UPA was going for fresh elections, he left it, he struck another socialist alliance in Bihar. He lost his election but came back to be a cabinet member again because he was in Rajya Sabha. And then he's been in the two cabinets of Narendra Modi. Similarly, in Bihar, he's been on the winning side. And when he's been on the losing side, he's not wasted much time switching to the winning side. 2005, Bihar had two elections. One early in 2005, that election was inconclusive. So Lalu got a few more seats than Nitish and his BJP combination, but none had majority. Ramvilas Paswan had the numbers then to tilt the balance on either side. So he had leverage. In that situation, Bhutta Singh was the governor, central government was UPA's Congress parties. So Bhutta Singh, as usual, as the BJP governors do now, misused his power as governor and installed Nitish. Nitish tried to break LJP, that is Paswan's party, and take away a dozen MLAs from him. That got too messed up and Nitish did not face his vote of confidence and quit. So what did Paswan say then? Paswan said that I don't want Nitish, I will join your coalition, let a government be formed, but only if the chief minister is a Muslim. So he made that minority chief minister his plank because he did not want to give that power to Nitish and see another tall leader rise in Bihar. Then there was a fresh election in 2005 because the first was inconclusive after a few months of president's rule, which Nitish then swept and Lok Janshakti Party, that is Paswan's party, got wiped out. Now there is one thing similar, another thing that is similar between Nitish and Paswan. Both have very small vote banks of their own in terms of caste in Bihar. Each one's vote bank is about 6%. So with 6% each, these two tails have been wagging the politics of Bihar, and in some ways these two tails also wag the politics of Delhi, because you can see through these decades that nobody in Delhi can form a government without either Paswan or Nitish or both. In fact, if I start taking account of all that, it will take me a long time and it will be very complicated because they are always going in and out, and before they go out of something, they are in another on another train with plenty of gravy on it. That is what is happening, leading to what's happening now. What's happening now is that you've had a chief minister in Bihar who's been there for 15 years. Incredible for Bihar. Lalu was there earlier, but this one 15 years. The incredible thing here is, in his case, his chief ministership is fully leveraged. As I had said in Katta Clutter 165, which I recorded from Patna, of which you will see a link today with the description, Nitish's strength is he's chief ministerial. He's a brand. So he leverages his brand. So whoever gets the numbers, he can help you get the numbers. He can't get numbers of his own. When he contests by himself, he does very poorly. But he can help you get the numbers. You can say, Nitish is my chief ministerial candidate. Please vote. He will get you the votes. If you have cadres and if you have a vote bank, he can rally it. On the other hand, Paswan has a limited leverage, which is his Paswan vote. Dalit vote, but essentially it's the Paswan vote. But he can also rally some other Dalits. So in Bihar, again a broken polity, 6% carries some weight. And he's been winning his own constituency of Hajipur for a long time. barring 84 and 2009. 84 was the Rajiv wave, and 2009 when he briefly left UPA until he realized that Mr. Advani's NDA was not coming to power, so he came back. So these two, Nitish, and look at Nitish's record. Nitish 2005 partnered with BJP, 2010 partnered with BJP, big election sweep again because he had performed very well as Chief Minister in his first term. By 2015, with the rise of Narendra Modi, which he complained about, which he resented, he joined hands with Congress and Lalu, his arch enemy Lalu. I told you that Nitish has never joined Congress or BJP, nor has Ram Vilas, but they've both gone to bed with either of them. So he won that election in what was called as Mahagathbandhan, guided along by Prashant Kishore and his organization, and once again won that election. It was a big humiliation for the BJP. Now that arrangement did not last long enough. As we know, in the course of time, he and Lalu Yadav had a falling out because Lalu Yadav's son was giving him trouble, Nitish trouble. So there was an FIR registered naming his son for corruption, who was his deputy chief minister, Tejasvi Yadav. So RJD rebelled. He said he will not have this alliance with RJD. So what happened? Did he lose power? Not for a day. He quickly did a somersault and joined joined an alliance with the BJP. So he continued as chief minister. So this is, if Ram Vilas Paswan is the champion weather vane of Indian politics or champion weathercock of Indian politics, then Nitish Kumar is the champion gymnast of Indian politics. What's playing out right now in Bihar is between the gymnast and the weathercock. It may not be an evenly matched battle, but the fact is that both these Maharathis of Bihar are much weaker than before. And the party that is licking its chops is the BJP. So this is how it works right now in Bihar as things stand. So LJP has said they will have no partnership with Nitish Kumar, but they say that they're not leaving NDA because you know what? Ram Vilas Paswan has a cabinet position in NDA. It may be a position of no consequence. Nobody listens to him. He has no power, food, distribution, nothing. It's a Namka Vaste ministry. Everything, in any case, in this cabinet, Modi cabinet, very few ministers have any power. But this one particularly is just there. It's a sinecure. But he doesn't even want to lose that because he's not used to being out of power, which is sort of odd for somebody who spent the entire emergency in jail, in Indira Gandhi's jail. So in conventional terms, you may say that LJP, that is Paswan and his son, they want to have their cake and eat it too. Or maybe if you want to put it in more sort of Hindi heartland idiom, they want their roti smeared with butter on both sides. Unko roti dono side se chupdi hui chahiye. They want it soaked on both sides in ghee or butter or whatever. Can they have it? So what is LJP now saying? LJP is saying in Bihar, they will not contest as part of the coalition between JDU, that is Nitish's party, and the BJP. But they will not contest against the BJP at this, because they want that ministry in Delhi and power in Delhi, and they want CBI and ED and the rest off their backs in Delhi or from Delhi. At the same time, they say they will put up a candidate against every candidate of JDU. So what's going to happen in Bihar is that between JDU and the BJP, they will divide the seats they contest because they are partners. So suppose it's half and half. Then, so 120 odd each, then JDU will put up a candidate against each one of the seats being contested by Nitish's JDU, where obviously BJP is not contesting, but they will not contest against the BJP. What does it tell you? It tells you that they want to play spoilers. There is no way they are going to win any substantial number of seats. They want to play spoilers or vote katwas, as they say in the Hindi heartland, but only spoilers for JDU and Nitish. So this is an effort to weaken Nitish. And if you hear my colleague Shankar Ramesh's Pure Politics, he tells you that this looks like a game to weaken Nitish, because BJP is also now getting fed up that Nitish has had so many terms as chief minister through leverage. So why should they keep winning elections with they transfer all their upper caste vote to Nitish. They also get some Dalit vote. In fact, some Paswan vote has been shifting to the BJP, and they put it all together and resources and then hand it over to Nitish. So they know that Nitish is now 69. This is Nitish's last election. Most unlikely that he'll have another election. Also, Nitish does not have any vote bank. Nitish is not rootless, but his roots are not that deep in Bihar politics. So they think in the course of time, in the next few months following this election result, presuming that they win, which at the moment they seem tipped to win with Nitish, Nitish will begin to lose his utility for them. And then they will start pushing him and at some point have a chief minister of their own in Bihar, which is a dream with the BJP. They have a chief minister of their own now in Uttar Pradesh. So why not in Bihar? In the Hindi heartland, that will be the last frontier for the BJP. And to do that, you have to weaken Nitish. So if you are confident that of the seats you are contesting, you will sweep 75-80% in Modi's name, then the less that Nitish gets, the better, because it reduces his leverage and it makes him more expendable. And then you can deal with the Paswans as you wish to. So the BJP is using the Paswans as a convenient fifth column or a proxy where the motive can only be to weaken Nitish. Now, why did I say that this is a situation where both Nitish, the champion gymnast, and the champion weathercock are weakened? Because Ramvilas Paswan, election after election, has shown that his ability to win anything on his own is zilch. Whenever he's gone on his own or without another big party, that is nationally Congress or BJP, and locally JDU or RJD, he's done very poorly because his vote bank is small and it is scattered. Also, he's not well. He's now in the hospital. He's had a heart surgery. He'd had another heart procedure several years ago when he was advised surgery, but he preferred to have the stent done instead because it was an election time. But he's now weakened. His son is in charge. And the way his son calculates, we are guessing a little bit, but this is an educated guess. His son knows that BJP does not have a charismatic leader in Bihar. So maybe in a post-Nitish scenario, what's happening with Bihar? You are looking at a post-Lalu Bihar, because unlikely that he'll come back out of the jail soon enough to influence politics there. His son is not that effective, Tejashwi. So Lalu's declined. If Nitish is declining and continues to decline, there will be a vacuum of a leader, of a charismatic leader in Bihar. So either you have a combination of a charismatic leader like Nitish and a big party like BJP, Congress, RJD, which Nitish combines with, or you have a combination of a leader like Chirag Paswan, young, quite a good speaker, Dalit, and once again using that leverage with the BJP or maybe even joining the BJP. So don't count out the possibility that if after this election BJP succeeds in weakening Nitish and Nitish continues to decline, at some point you might see Chirag Paswan joining the BJP and being projected as chief minister as well. At least that seems to be his game plan. So this is what this big game right now in Bihar is. A lot of the trumps are held here by the BJP because the BJP has the largest chunk of the vote. BJP has the resources. BJP has the agencies. BJP has the gravy to offer to Paswan. BJP also has the keys to power in Patna, and BJP also has the power to decide to give it to him and get away with it at no risk of any protests or any trouble from its own party leaders in the state. So that is in brief my punditry on what's happening with Bihar politics on the eve of the elections.